Have you ever looked around and felt like everyone else knows exactly what they're doing except you? One friend is building a business. Another is getting promoted. Someone else is traveling the world, getting married, buying a house, or posting exciting life updates every week. Meanwhile, you're sitting there wondering if you're falling behind. You tell yourself you'll figure things out soon. But weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. And that feeling doesn't go away. If you've ever felt confused about your future, uncertain about your direction, or worried that you're wasting your 20s, you're not alone. In fact, feeling lost in your 20s is probably more common than feeling certain. The problem is that nobody talks about it honestly. Most people only share the parts of life that look successful. They don't post the moments when they're questioning everything at 2 a.m. They don't talk about the anxiety, the uncertainty, or the fear of making the wrong decision. But that's often what's happening behind the scenes. One of the biggest reasons people feel lost in their 20s is because this is the first time many of us are fully responsible for our own lives. As children, life follows a clear path. Go to school. Pass your exams. Move to the next grade. Everything is structured. Someone tells you where to go, what to learn, and what comes next. Then suddenly, that structure disappears. Now you're expected to make your own decisions. What career should you pursue? Where should you live? Who should you spend your life with? What goals are worth chasing? And nobody hands you the answers. That's exciting. But it's also terrifying. For the first time, the possibilities are endless. And strangely enough, endless possibilities can create paralysis. When there are too many options, people often become afraid of choosing the wrong one. So they delay. They overthink. They wait for clarity before taking action. But clarity rarely comes before action. Most of the time, clarity comes because of action. You discover what you want by trying things. You learn what doesn't fit by experiencing it. You find direction by moving, not by standing still. Another reason so many people feel lost is because they're comparing their real lives to everyone else's highlight reels. Think about it. Every day you're exposed to hundreds of people showing their achievements, vacations, relationships, fitness transformations, and career milestones. What you're usually not seeing are the struggles behind those moments. The debt, the stress, the failures, the loneliness, the uncertainty. So you end up comparing your entire life to a carefully selected collection of someone else's best moments. And that's a comparison nobody can win. The more you compare yourself to others, the easier it becomes to believe you're behind. But life isn't a race with a universal timeline. Some people discover their purpose at 20. Others discover it at 40. Some people start businesses early and fail. Others start later and succeed. Everyone's path looks different. The trouble starts when you convince yourself that your path should look exactly like someone else's. Another hidden reason people feel lost is because they're trying to find themselves instead of building themselves. This idea gets repeated everywhere. Find your passion. Find your purpose. Find yourself. It sounds inspiring, but it can also create a lot of pressure. Because what happens when you can't find it? You start thinking something is wrong with you. But what if purpose isn't something you find? What if it's something you create? Most people don't wake up one morning with complete certainty about their future. They develop certainty through experience. They learn. They experiment. They fail. They grow. And over time, a clearer picture begins to emerge. Many successful people didn't start with a perfect plan. They started with curiosity. Then they kept moving forward. Your 20s are often less about having answers and more about collecting experiences that help create those answers. There's also something else happening beneath the surface. Many people enter adulthood believing that once they achieve a certain goal, they'll finally feel secure. Maybe it's getting a degree, landing a job, making more money, moving to a new city. The people who seem confident aren't necessarily people who have all the answers. They're often people who learned how to keep moving despite not having all the answers. That's a very important difference. Confidence isn't certainty. Confidence is trusting yourself enough to figure things out along the way. And that brings us to something many people need to hear. You don't need to have your entire life planned out right now. Seriously, you don't. Some people are carrying enormous pressure because they believe one decision will determine the rest of their future. The perfect career, the perfect relationship, the perfect opportunity. But life rarely works that way. Most paths are not permanent. Most decisions can be adjusted. Most mistakes can be recovered from. The bigger risk isn't making the wrong choice. The bigger risk is becoming so afraid of making mistakes that you never move forward at all. because staying stuck creates its own problems. Growth often looks messy. Progress often feels uncertain. And sometimes the next step only becomes visible after you take the current one. So if you're feeling lost right now, maybe stop asking yourself, what am I supposed to do for the rest of my life? That's a huge question. And honestly, it's one that overwhelms most people. Instead, ask yourself something smaller. What's the next step? What's one skill you can learn? One conversation you can have? One opportunity you can explore? One fear you can face? You don't need the entire map. You only need the next step, and then the next one after that. Over time, those small steps create direction. Not instantly, not dramatically, but gradually. And that's usually how real growth happens. The truth is, feeling lost doesn't mean you're failing. Sometimes it means you're growing. Sometimes it means you're questioning old beliefs and searching for something more meaningful. Sometimes it means you're in the middle of becoming someone new. And the middle is always uncomfortable. The middle is where certainty disappears before confidence arrives. It's where the old version of you no longer fits, but the future version isn't fully formed yet. That's where many people in their 20s find themselves. And that's okay. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not the only person trying to figure things out. You're simply living through one of the most confusing and transformative periods of life. So be patient with yourself. Keep learning. Keep exploring. Keep showing up. You don't need to have everything figured out today. Most people don't. What matters is that you keep moving forward, even when the path isn't perfectly clear. Because one day you'll look back and realize something. The years you spent feeling lost weren't wasted. They were the years that helped you find your direction. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. It really supports the channel. And if you enjoy simple ideas that help you build a stronger mindset and better habits, make sure you subscribe for more.